Okay, nothing I'm about to bring up is going to blow your brain or massively surprise you, but I do think they are points worth raising so we can have a little chat. And look, some of the things I am going to talk about, you may actually enjoy, and if that's the case, more power to you. Never forget, no matter how much screaming or shouting is going on, if you genuinely enjoy something and it makes you happy, be that a stipulation, a match, or a wrestler, then good for you. Wrestling exists to make you happy, so if it does, you're ticking the right boxes. Unless, of course, you liked the thing on SmackDown recently when a man came dressed out as the Big Dog. You remember the guy in the fluffy costume? No one is allowed to like that. However, despite all these positive steps that we seem to make, there are always these anchors that seem to hold WWE back. And I know it makes me sound like an asshole, but I actually want WWE to exceed, and I want AEW to exceed, and I want every single wrestling promotion on this earth to succeed. I know. What a piece of crap I am. But even still, WWE's problems aren't going away. Why? Here's why. We shall approach this video as almost a point-by-point look at the WWE, and we will start with the fact that Raw is still 3 hours long, 120 minutes or 108,000 seconds. As we have said time and time again, it is impossible for anything to be fun or entertaining for that amount of time. And I know there's some idiots out there that go, well, I'd like to have sex for 3 hours. No, you wouldn't. You would just say that because you think you sound like the big boy, but if you did go out there and actually do it, somewhat ironically, your area would turn raw. It's just skin. But when we are talking about an entertainment program, that is just such a long running time to try and keep it engaging and to keep you watching from minute 1 to minute 120. And that's not just because we get some skits that are only there because we are trying to pad the show out, but also it goes down with matches as well. Like on a recent episode of Raw, we saw Andrade versus Sin Cara. Now you may love Sin Cara, but he is clearly not in WWE's plans right now. Andrade seems to be on the verge of the push, so why the hell did that thing go around about 10 minutes? All that does is tell the fans that Andrade, hopefully our next big superstar, struggled to beat someone like Sin Cara, who since 2011 has been buried into the ground. It doesn't help Mr. Tranquilo, and if we go back in time, like literally step into our time machine, and travel backwards, you remember everything that happened before WrestleMania 35 with Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair. That story was actually pretty good and was heading in the right direction, but because we had so much TV time to fill, we kept adding, we kept doing extra things, and we didn't run it into the ground, but we peaked too early. And that meant, eventually it was like, well, we could have done better than this. So if we didn't have those 3 hours, we could have done less, and the result of that would have meant we would have got oh such more. That's poetry, damn it. Next up is NXT, which has changed massively in 2019, namely because it's no longer what could be considered the future. And that's not me saying it's not great, it still absolutely rocks, and it still serves as a wonderful alternative to Raw and SmackDown when you get bored of Mondays and Fridays. But at one point, many fans were desperate and thought, oh, this is the template for what WWE is going to be down the line. But now it's not. This whole NXT versus AEW war, should you wish to call it that, has completely transformed what NXT has to be, and instead it's here to supplement Raw and SmackDown, as opposed to eventually be the thing that kind of throws a blanket over them and swallows them up, like Kirby. It's even affected WWE's calendar, and when NXT does start touring away from Full Sail in 2020, there's nothing else to do but look at it and go, well, that is WWE's third brand. That does carry a lot of positives with it as well, because you do get more exposure on the people that are down there, but it's very unlikely that it's going to take over Raw or SmackDown anytime soon. Furthermore, we have everything with Saudi Arabia, and I understand it from a business point of view. That, along with the TV deals, means that WWE is now earning more money than ever. But look at it like this. It's so controversial every single time that many fans have decided they won't watch until that is done, and then even more than that are like, I'm done altogether. They made this deal, I can't accept it. So no matter what event you look at, there's always something to make you slap yourself in the face and go, oh, why is this happening? But when you look at the numbers, when you look at the statistics, everything from the greatest Royal Rumble shows that from that point, numbers started going in that direction. If you can't see my hand, it's down. Where this is going to be by the end of the contract, nobody knows, but you've always got to be thinking long term, and you've always got to be thinking about that core audience. And this all ties in to the whole 3-hour Raw thing too, because let's say it is 2025. I mean, we've already got on the time machine once, let's get in it again. If we go to 2025, when WWE does have to negotiate new TV deals, if stuff like Saudi Arabia and stuff like 3-hour Raws have run those numbers into the ground, then they ain't going to be making as much cash as they are here in 2019, because without the stats and without those numbers, nobody is going to care. Then there are the wrestlers themselves. While the likes of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns seem more loyal than ever, and more power to them, genuinely, you can't get through a 24-hour period right now without hearing some rumblings that another member of the roster wants to leave. Sin Cara, Luke Harper, and Mike Kanellis have all gone public and said, I would like to go if that's okay, and they aren't going to be the only ones. There will be more in that locker room that are certainly thinking about it. I mean, look at the Revival. The Revival are making All Elite Wrestling and Young Bucks references pretty much every day. On top of that, nobody is really coming through as a brand new star, and that comes down to booking more than anything else. But if you do watch it all the time, you want to be able to keep your eye on at least one person and go, oh, I wonder where they're going to end up. I mean, look at the main event card right now. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and they're all there on merit, but they can't hold the pyramid, they can't hold the tent, they can't hold the building up by themselves. We need an injection of something to keep the fans happy, and I like Baron Corbin a lot. I think Baron Corbin is actually pretty good at what he does, but it's quite clear when you take the metrics into account that he's not going to be what WWE wants him to be. So why not try something else? If it fails and it burns in ashes, okay, at least you tried, at least you gave it a go. I think we're all at that point where we respect it, as long as, of course, WWE realizes that too, and then continues to shift there as well. Overall, the product structure kind of feels exactly the same as it did as the Attitude Era. No matter what you're doing, you've got to make sure that you're evolving, especially when we are talking about an episodic weekly program. That is why TV shows get cancelled all the time, because eventually the fans, the audience, go, I don't need to see this anymore. I've got my fill of it. So when you're doing it 52 weeks a year and there's no threat of being cancelled, you've got to be even more on the ball. You've got to be ahead of the curve. You've got to be 2 steps before everybody else. But when you're in a situation when January kind of feels like it's exactly the same as December, again, you've got to look inwards and you've got to start shaking up the status quo. Of course, that may be an issue that Vince McMahon is the only one with the final say and the guy with all the power, or that when you do watch Raw on a weekly basis, storylines don't make sense and you're often left scratching your head. But it all comes together to show that WWE is in a bit of a rut, and I'd like to dig them out. Take some risk, push some guys we're not expecting, make sure you keep a fire lit under the fans' favourites such as Becky Lynch and Daniel Bryan, and maybe more than anything, stop doing what you have been doing and try something new. And new is a wonderful world to step into, because there are no rules in the world of the new. You can do whatever you want. Now is the time to do it as well, because we are only a couple of months away from the Royal Rumble in January 2020, and no matter what you do, the Royal Rumble is always an event where some lapsed fans will come back. If you can just plant the tiniest seed in their head where they go, oh, maybe I should stick around for WrestleMania, then maybe we're onto something. If we get there though and we're just doing the same thing that we did in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, then what reason do they have to stay? I mean, you already know that it's not increasing your numbers, because again, like me, you have all the information, so why would we do it again? And maybe money is the reason we find ourselves in this predicament to begin with, because I can understand that if I was running my own business and I looked at the profit margins and went, we're up, friends, we're up, pals, everything's really good, maybe I wouldn't be thinking about what we're actually doing on the shows, or what we should be doing in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years time. But you have to. You always have to know what's around the corner. You always have to know what's next. And more importantly than all of that, you've always got to be listening to your fans. You remember Vince McMahon did that thing? I think it was when Ric Flair became partner of WWE, started wiggling his ear. Well, now is the time to wiggle your ear even more, Vince, and start giving us something that we want, or at the very least, giving us something we're not expecting, giving us something that's a little bit fresh, and I'll use that word again, giving us something that feels just a little bit new. It was quite surprising we didn't get this after All Elite Wrestling was born, because as we know, competition creates creativity, but instead of it being a Raw or SmackDown versus AEW thing, it quickly became an AEW versus NXT thing, probably quite smartly by World Wrestling Entertainment. That has left the blue brand and the red brand in a very, very confusing place. I mean, not even the move to Fox has really made SmackDown must-watch TV. That's not going to please Fox executives. They paid a lot of money for something they expect to probably be doing upwards of $3 million. At the moment, I think the average is around about 2.5. But you can spin that, you can look at that in a good way, because again, SmackDown is on Fox, a massive channel. We do have competition kind of breathing down WWE's neck, so hopefully it's just a matter of time, got my fingers crossed, hopefully it's just a matter of time before we get the WWE we've all been yearning for so long. If nothing else, CM Punk signed a deal with Fox. He's now working on WWE backstage. Just drive a massive truck, a money truck, up to his house, dump all those dollar bills on his lawn, then apologize for screwing up his garden and get him to come back. It's only a short-term fix. It's only like an injection into the arm, but if you're smart with it and you come up with a long-term storyline, you get the Royal Rumble effect again. Lapsed fans come back. They're really excited, not just about CM Punk, but about Andrade, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, Cedric Alexander, whoever you want to push. And then we get back to where we need to be. You see, it's not that easy. Plan is in place. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about the state of the WWE. Like, share, and subscribe. Head on over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles, follow What Culture on Twitter or What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture, and just because I know what the comment sections and the internet is like, I still love WWE. I'll always love WWE. I am a fan, and as I mentioned at the start of this video, I watch wrestling to be entertained. I watch wrestling to be happy, and I'm gonna slice away with a lightsaber anything that tries to make me feel otherwise. It's just better for my day today. It's better for my life. It makes me feel good inside. I will see you soon. Thanks for watching the Y series.